So Contender Series is going to be back for week number 4 of the 2023 season, and in this video I'm going to be predicting every single fight on the card. Unfortunately, this season it has been a pretty rough one. I've been getting Greeked over and over and over again. Gianni the Greek is ahead on me on picks right now, and we cannot let that happen. We must defeat the arch nemesis Gianni the Greek on Dana White's Contender Series. And I believe that this could be the week that we do it, because I have done so much tape study this week. I did my tape study for this 2 weeks ago because I am 2 weeks ahead. And then I did it again this week as well before recording this video. So hopefully these picks can be much better than they have been in the past. And hopefully we can finally take down Gianni the Greek and take him on for Contender Series week number 4. Before we do get into it though, you do have my Bet US link there, 125% sign up bonus, and also a 3-day free trial to the We Want Picks premium membership service, where you do get the picks about over a week early, because I do write my Dana White Contender Series picks in the article, which does take place the week before the events are even on, if that makes any sense. Now let's just get into the predictions. So kicking off the card is going to be Carlos Prates taking on Mitch Ramirez, and as you can tell from that massive chest tattoo that he does have, Carlos Prates is a Muay Thai striker. That is exactly how he fights. He's very, very technical on the feet. He's got very good kicks, and one thing that I noticed about Carlos Prates is he is so fast, and he throws a lot of head kicks. Like almost every third strikes, sometimes every second strike he throws is a head kick. He just throws so many kicks, and the reason why he does that is he's kicking his opponent's arms, so that eventually after the arms get a bit sore from blocking, they drop, and that leaves the head kick open. And it has worked for him very, very well recently, because he has got 2 head kick KOs back to back, which is very, very impressive. He is going to be taking on Mitch Ramirez. Now, Mitch Ramirez, he has actually fought at 155 pounds in the past, so I expected when I was going to go into his tape study that he was going to be a little bit small for 170, but he's built up a lot of muscle in a relatively short period of time, because Mitch Ramirez does not look like a lightweight fighter at 170 at all. I believe there was a rumor that he was meant to be on the Ultimate Fighter, but he didn't end up getting there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is what he said in his XMMA interview. And speaking of XMMA, I'm a massive fan of this promotion. I do love XMMA, and he did get a very good win over Jeremy Holloway in that matchup there, where he did finish the fight off with leg kicks. Towards the end of the fight, Jeremy Holloway, you could just tell that his legs were done, and Ramirez went out there and exposed that in the 3rd round and knocked him out with leg kicks, or TKO'd him with leg kicks. One thing that I will say about XMMA though is Juliana Miller's commentary can be quite hard to listen to. But Mitch Ramirez, he can wrestle, he can grapple. When he's on the feet, he does have a very sort of squared sort of style, or squared stance, I guess you could say, which is going to leave him very open to a lot of straight punches that Carlos Prates does throw. But the way that he does hold his hands, he does hold his hands very high. He's got a pretty high guard. I think that Carlos Prates, as long as he doesn't get taken down, should be able to win this fight and be the much better striker against Mitch Ramirez. Carlos Prates in the past, the reason why he has lost so much in the past is because he has had bad takedown defense, but that takedown defense recently has made rapid improvements. He hasn't been taken down for a very, very long time. Opponents do try and take him down, but they can't get him down. His takedown defense is very good, but the thing is, he's not really taking on great wrestlers, because he is taking on guys that, for the most part, are just kind of BJJ guys or Muay Thai guys over in Brazil. But for Mitch Ramirez, I think that he does have a path to victory if he uses his wrestling. On the feet, he is very dangerous, but I think he's not as technical as Carlos Prates, and I do believe that he does leave himself open. So I am actually going to go with Carlos Prates to win this matchup by 1st round knockout, like he has done for most of his recent fights. I'm going to go with Prates to win this matchup by knockout in the very 1st round. And the next one, we're going to have another former Glory kickboxer and Yusri Belgari take on Marco Tulio Silva. And the reason why I say another one is because in week number 1, Cesar Almeida was able to get a contract. So let's see if Yusri Belgari can make it 2-0. This is going to be a very, very fun fight. Yusri Belgari, if you are unfamiliar with him, has an insane record in kickboxing. He's got a lot of fights against some really, really good guys like Israel Adesanya. He fought him twice. He fought Alex Pereira 3 times, including a win over Alex Pereira. He's even beaten Jason Wilness as well, who was a fantastic Glory kickboxer as well. Donovan Weiss did beat him, but he's also a fantastic striker. He beat him twice. And he was actually meant to take on Matish Pinhas, and if that fight happened, that would have been fantastic, but unfortunately it didn't. But when it comes down to MMA, you can tell that Yusri Belgari is a fantastic striker. The way that he does kind of hold his stance is very interesting though, because he does crouch down a lot. He is 6'5", but he crouches down a lot, and his head is kind of pushed out a little bit, and he kind of got his arms out like this. And the way that he avoids strikes is very, very interesting and very effective, because he kind of sees everything coming, and he just kind of moves his head back and out of the way. He's got insane head movement. He's got insane at distance management, and the way that he kind of of moves. He always has a counter ready to go when someone does kind of rush forward, and that is what Marco Tulio Silva does. You do see that he's got the shoot box background, and you do see when you watch his fights, he is 100% a shoot box fighter. Very, very aggressive Muay Thai. He's got good wrestling as well. He goes for takedowns. His grappling is actually probably one of the weaker part of his games, which is interesting coming from shooter box, but he's very, very aggressive on the feet. And I actually think this might be a bad matchup for Marco Tulio Silva. On paper, though, I was going into tape study thinking that Silva was going to be like one of the better prospects to come out of Dana White's Contender series, especially at 185, but because he's beaten so many good guys. When I actually watched his fights, I wasn't actually as impressed as I kind of expected to be, and I actually think that this could be a pretty bad matchup for him unless he gets the takedowns. When he did take on Well Oliveira, he did dive in and get a good takedown there, but he did end up getting reversed after getting a couple of submission attempts being put on him. He did end up winning that fight by knockout, though. Yusri Belgari has had takedown defense problems in the past. As I said, he has had quite mixed success in MMA, but I think that maybe in this matchup here, I think that his takedown defense is improving. He is training at Teixeira MMA and Fitness. He's training with Alex Bahia as well, so he's probably getting some pretty good sparring in there. But Marco Tulio Silva, the way that he strikes, he does rush forward, he's very aggressive, and I can see Yusri Belgari getting knocked out with the way that he does hold his head and hold his style, sort of his stance, sorry. But I can also see Yusri Belgari getting out of the way of all of these strikes that he's throwing and just landing a really nice counter. And I'm actually going to go with Yusri Belgari to win this matchup. I think that these counters are going to be money for him. I think he's going to see everything that Marco Tulio Silva is going to be throwing at him. I think he is going to land the counter strikes. So the pick is Yusri Belgari. But with the way that he does hold his stance in a very interesting way, maybe at one point we could see him get knocked out by a lesser striker, but I don't think it's going to be in this fight. I'm actually going to go with Yusri Belgari to win this matchup here. Maybe it could be a pick to fade because my picks in the past haven't been too good, but I do genuinely believe in Belgari. I think he's a fantastic striker, and I think that he does get it done over Marco Tulio Silva. The next fight is going to be Timothy Coamba taking on Matteo Vogel at featherweight. I feel like this could be one of the hardest fights to pick on the card, and I think this fight is actually very, very competitive, despite what the Tapology votes do say, because Tapology is very, very heavy on Vogel in this matchup. 89% of people picking Vogel, and I am one of those people. I am picking Matteo Vogel, but this is not a confident pick at all, and I think that Timothy Coamba actually does have a very good chance at winning this matchup. Coamba in this fight is going to be the much better striker, but where Matteo Vogel is going to be much better is in the grappling. Coamba actually does have very good wrestling himself as well, so maybe he could defend some takedowns from Vogel, but I do believe that if any point in this matchup the fight does go down to the ground, Vogel, I think, will be able to submit Timothy Coamba. The way that Vogel does grapple is very entertaining. This guy goes for submissions all the time. He's very dangerous off his back. He's very dangerous when he gets onto his opponent's back because he does have a very good rear naked choke, but he goes for knee bars, he goes for arm bars, he goes for anything. If Matteo Vogel is on the ground, he is going for a submission. He's not necessarily a submission over position guy, but one thing that is for sure, he is always looking for something. He's always trying to finish the fight when the fight is down to the ground. And for Timothy Coamba, he is the much better striker in this matchup, as I did say, but he usually strikes to wrestle. He does get a lot of takedowns in his fights, and he can be in some very fun fights as well. He's going to be much faster on the feet than Matteo Vogel. But I think in this one here, I think the offensive wrestling needs to go, because I do believe that even if Timothy Coamba does go out there and take down Matteo Vogel is so good off his back. Matteo Vogel, in my opinion, is the much better grappler in this matchup as well. Whereas when Timothy Coamba does fight, he strikes to wrestle. I think he's going to have to just strike and defend takedowns in this matchup. Coamba has lost by submission before. It was against Ivan Tenner, and Ivan Tenner was able to kind of reverse some positions and get the rear naked choke in the first round. And I think that we're going to see Matteo Vogel do something similar. I think we're going to see Matteo Vogel come out into this matchup and not strike with Coamba. I think that Matteo Vogel as well has fought the much better competition. I think he's going to come out here with a good game plan. I think he's going to be constantly shooting for takedowns. I think he's not even just going to be shooting for takedowns to get the fight to the ground. I think he's going to be clinching to try and take the back, because I have seen him take the back from the clinch position as well, kind of like Aljamain Sterling does. I think he's going to be looking to do that. I think he's going to be looking to get the fight down to the mat. He's going to be looking to do many different things in the grappling. I think Matteo Vogel is going to come out with a very heavy wrestling and grappling game plan and submit Timothy Coamba within 2 rounds. But if Coamba goes out there and knocks out Matteo Vogel, I honestly wouldn't be that surprised. In my opinion, this is a fight to probably avoid unless fight doesn't go the distance as a good bet at all. I think that could be good because it's either Coamba by KO or Vogel by submission. But I'm on Vogel. I do think he does manage to get the submission within 2 rounds in this matchup here. And then we move all the way up to the heavyweights. You've got Chandler Cole taking on Thomas Peterson. And this fight could be very fun, but it also could be not so fun. I am going to be picking Thomas Peterson to win this one, though. I think it's his fight to lose. I think this is actually a very good stylistic matchup for Thomas Peterson with the way that he does fight. He's a very, very heavy wrestling style. He does have power on the feet, but for the most part, he's just trying to go out there and get takedowns and take people down. He pushes you guys up against the clinch kind of as soon as the fight starts, or as soon as like a restart happens after a break. He will push you up against the cage and take you down and win by ground and pound after that. Most of his wins are in the first rounds. However, most of his wins aren't really against the best level of competition. LFA definitely built him up to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta, and Waldo Cortez Acosta went on to win that fight and is now in the UFC. But since then, again, LFA has built him up, and now he's taking on Chandler Cole in Dana White's Contender Series. I do think Thomas Peterson is a lot better than people do think so. I think at heavyweight, having a very good wrestling style actually can get you very, very far at heavyweight, because a lot of the guys there are strikers, and Chandler Cole is a striker. He is 5'10", and he is very, very wide. He does weigh in at the heavyweight limit, and not a lot of that weight is muscle. He does remind me a lot of Chris Barnett, and he is very fun to watch, man. I was watching Chandler Cole's fights, I was like, yeah, he's so fun to watch. I loved the Ultimate Fighter fight. Actually, to be fair, it wasn't the best fight in the world, but it was so fun, because Chandler Cole, he's very short for the weight class, he's very wide for the weight class, but man, is he scrappy, dude. And on the feet, he's always going to be live to get a KO, but I do believe that Thomas Peterson can go out there and take down Chandler Cole and win this fight by ground and pound to KO. There's not really a lot to talk about with the matchup. Chandler Cole, just think of Chris Barnett, and you've kind of got Chandler Cole. And then for Thomas Peterson, he's a wrestler, almost think Carl Williams, and you've got Thomas Peterson there. I think that Thomas Peterson does go out there. I think he takes Chandler Cole down, and I do think that he wins by ground and pound TKO in the first or the second round, giving Peterson to win this matchup by ground and pound TKO. The final fight of the night is going to be between Dylan Salvador and Bolaji Oki. And Dylan Salvador is another fighter from Glory Kickboxing who is going to be competing for a UFC contract. If you do look through his record, he's got a lot of Muay Thai and kickboxing experience. He's got a win over Giga Chikadze in kickboxing in 2017. And also, if you go back to 2015, he actually has a win over Sijichai and then a loss to Sijichai in 2017. But Sijichai is a very good kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter as well. In one championship, as you can see, he has had a lot of fights and a lot of wins, and one of those losses is to Dylan Salvador in Muay Thai, who is going to be fighting in this matchup here against Bolaji Oki. Dylan Salvador, though, if you do look at his record, it's quite deceiving, because you do look at him, numbers on a page, 4 wins by submission, 1 win by knockout. So I went out there and I watched as many fights as I could, because I really wanted to know, how does Dylan Salvador find himself in these positions to get the submissions when he is a striker? And that's what he does. He doesn't really go for takedowns at all. He can go for takedowns, but he doesn't really, unless he's in trouble, unless he's hurt, which he has been before. But he just kind of ends up knocking people down, or just ends up in positions where he can get the submission. That's how he does it. He did take on this guy, Jakongir Jumayev, and he did strike with him for the whole first round. And then the second round, Jumayev started going for some takedowns. And then the third round, Jumayev had slowed down a lot, and Dylan Salvador ended up on top and got the Von Flue choke. Very, very good win. Very good submission win there. He took on Arman Ospinov, and this is a fight that Arman Ospinov was looking very, very good, and he was landing a lot of good strikes onto Dylan Salvador. He knocked him down in the second rounds, but I think what happened was maybe Ospinov just gassed out completely, and he just wouldn't get up off his stool after the second round. So Dylan Salvador wins due to TKO in that matchup, in a fight which he was potentially going on to lose, because Ospinov was having a lot of success in that matchup. And now his opponent is Bolaji Oki. Bolaji Oki is 100% the best prospect out of Belgium right now. He is actually quite big for the weight class as well. You do look at Bolaji Oki, he is built, man. Like, he is a very, very big, strong dude for 155 pounds, and doesn't really have the most good wins on his record. Yes, he's beaten some good guys like Naim Khan, who's 13-0, but if you look at Naim Khan's record, pretty much every person that he has fought had no experience at all. And but the thing is, though, with Bolaji Oki, he's a striker as well, which is good for Dylan Salvador. He can wrestle, which isn't so good for Dylan Salvador. But when it comes down to the striking, Bolaji Oki, he's very much a power striker. He doesn't throw a lot of volumes, but he does throw a lot of jabs. And if you do watch his fight against Naim Khan, I would actually recommend you watch this fight, because it is a very fun fight to watch, especially in the first round. In the first round, these two guys, they go to war, man. They just absolutely scrap it out. Both guys land really good shots. Bolaji Oki's landing a lot of jabs, and Khan is pressuring forward and landing a lot of bombs. But that pressure did give Bolaji Oki a lot of problems in that fight. He did not look too good when he was forced to fight backwards, and I think Dylan Salvador is going to be a guy that is going to pressure forward against Oki and put Oki on the back foot, where he won't be as good of a striking as when he is moving forward. Oki can wrestle, but I think Oki's biggest problem is his gas tank. But Bolaji Oki, he slowed down a lot in that matchup against Malikian. He didn't really like gas out completely, but at the end of the first round, you could see that Bolaji Oki was actually a little bit tired. The second and third round roll along, and Bolaji Oki is definitely a little bit gassed. And Dylan Salvador, I've never really seen this guy have gas tank problems. He did go to the third round in his last fight. He looked good. He looked like the fresher fighter. And he doesn't have a very ridiculously high volume output, but he does have good volume output. He is going to be landing more volume than Oki. I think he's going to be chopping the legs of Oki as well because he throws a lot of leg kicks. I'm going to go Dylan Salvador to win this matchup. I do believe that he can win against Oki here. I think he's going to land more volume. And if it does go down to the ground, Salvador's grappling is surprisingly good. And he's been taking on much better competition as well. He took on Ospinov, who's 11-4. He took on Jakun Gejimaev, who's 8-2. He lost to Ali Zibian, who's 6-2. And a 6-1 opponent. He did win that matchup there. And if you look at Oki, losing record, Malikian, who had a padded record but is a good fighter, to be fair. Debuting guy, 6-2. And 17-29 fighter there. So both guys have fought decent competition, but Dylan Salvador has fought the better competition. I'm on the Dylan Salvador side. I think that Oki is going to look good in the first round. I think he's going to slow down a lot in the second round. Salvador's going to be chopping the legs. He's going to be going to the body. And in the third round, Oki is going to be completely gassed out. I think that Salvador is going to find some sort of finish, whether it's by knockout or submission in the third round. So give me Dylan Salvador to win this matchup. Late in the fight, I think he does find a finish. And that is my picks for week number 4 to kind of go over it. Carlos Prates, KO round 1. Yusri Balgari, KO on a counter. I've got Mateo Vogel to win by submission within 2 rounds. I've got Thomas Peterson to win by knockout in the first or the second round due to ground and pounds. And Dylan Salvador by very late finish. And I will be live during this card on my YouTube channel, and I will be doing a fight companion for Dana White's Contender Series week number 4. Let me know what you think of those comments. Let me know what you think of those picks in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.